sundown unto sundown. So, hey, so you see that? Who you talking to? Who you talking to? Who y'all talking to? Just go up your decrepit hole and leave us alone. Nobody cares about you. Miss Piggy, keep up, man. We talking to our people. You don't come behind us talking crap, man. Right? Hey, all right. See that? See that? Hey, hold on. I got it. Hey, get off us. Don't kick me again. Y'all attacked us.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Kakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. All right, and what I want to get into today, we're dealing with the book of Proverbs, chapter 2 and verse 10. And I'm going into this, because just watching this video of Wi-Fi, all right, dealing with how that situation went down, them in the altercation they had with these two Edomite women. And we're in the time to apply wisdom, if we don't get off, on these type of situations where, these camps, get caught up, into particular things, certain altercations, we're not looking for, a moment, to say, aha, this is a teaching moment, that we can use to edify, especially with the times that we're in, which they teach, a different doctrine, and, we've had our run in with, this camp, as far as doctrine wise, mainly with the MOTB, and the guy that's the head of Wi-Fi, I believe is Naquan, all right, which, he's a good teacher, okay? Well, he's become proud, you can tell he's become proud, and he's off on a major part of the doctrine, which is the MOTB, but the end all be all, these situations like this, as we're out and about teaching, we want to be blameless. Okay, now this devil, he's gonna lie. We know that this devil, he's gonna push his narrative of us, being, extremists and all these different things. But one thing we don't want to do, all right, is give this devil ammunition. Make this devil work and reach, and stay blameless in the sight of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. And wisdom could have been applied in this situation. So just using this for a teaching moment, all right. And the first thing where they was teaching it, they're in the midst of traffic, all right, where somebody has to go through them to get to a door. So they put themselves, all right, in a bad situation anyway, where you have those people coming in and out their door, coming behind you. You're facing the street and their door is behind you, so you can have people that you don't know in that building come out, be on some shit. You got to be wise in these times, man. You got to have strategy, man. This ain't just about, being seen and being heard and telling Edomites they're going into slavery. Nah, man, this be wise. You're a camp head, you leader, you got men under you, man. Put them men in the best position to go home. Now, we know every time that we go out that we risking being grabbed up, by Esau or whatever, all right? And you don't want to put your men in unnecessary harm's way, okay? That's going to happen when it's going to happen, but before then, you don't want to put your men in necessary harm's way, man, by having them in that position, in that environment, man. Like Jake want to teach, in these environments where people are out there drinking, Jake want to teach on Beale Street, Saturday at 5 in the evening, Niggas is out there drunk, high. Everybody out there drunk and high their mind. And you out there with a microphone. All right. Then you're talking to them, you know. And that was part one of something that could have been done better. Okay. Is that they started to insult those women directly. You know, they got into an unnecessary dialogue, all right, with those women. Because we go to camp. Camp is about edification, man. One thing I love about camp is that you can open up, you know, and you can read, you know, the chapters. You can go into this. You can link, you know, you can open up, you know. So camp is a place for edification to go forth, man. Okay, and we know that controversy sells, and Jake like to see, you know, the interactions and particular things, but edification, all right, is the number one priority at camp, all right, and going back and forth with them, and just because they said something, they gonna speak, you know. Hey, it's gonna get way worse than that. They gonna speak and say things, man. Okay, we was at camp last Friday talking about Eve, and there was two Eves in the car, you know, and they pulled up and they said, "Shut y'all ass up." Okay, and we just kept teaching. They no used to going back and forth with Eve in the car at the red light. All right, the Lord is judging. You see what's happening with Eve, and you see what's happening with Jake and Esau. The Lord is judging everybody. We don't have to get into an argument with you. Prophecy gonna argue with your ass. Okay, argue with these prophecies, man. Okay, so this is just a quick video. I'm gonna go here just to be wise, man. You know, they could have been handled a lot better. They could have been avoided, you know, and I pray that those brothers, you know, learn from that. You know, Lord will, there's some type of, you know, instead of looking at it as an opportunity for clickbait, look for it as an opportunity to move wise on the next time, you know. So this is Proverbs 2:10. It says, when wisdom enters into thine heart and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee. Okay, so we in a time to have discretion, man. Okay, we in the time to have discretion, man, and we know what these devils are up to, man. We know we should be on high alert. Okay, we should be on high alert in how we move, how we interact. Okay, because these devils, hey, they want to accuse the brethren. Okay, which they're gonna do it anyway. It's a part of the movie. Okay, but you don't want to put yourself or your men in unnecessary harm. Okay, things that could have been avoided by not having discernment and wisdom, understanding what times we in, understanding the situation you in when you at camp. You know, when you're setting up camp, you need to be looking at all the possibilities, man. Before you set up, you need to have discretion. Okay, is this a good place to edify? Because if you're doing things for edification, all right, it's going to increase your discernment and your discretion. Okay, so it says, verse 11 again, it said, discretion shall preserve thee. All right. When you read verse 11 in NLT, it says, wise choices will watch over you. Understanding will keep you safe. We have this wisdom to apply real time. All right. You can't be in the spirit of clickbait over edification, man. You know, let wise decision watch over us, man. We've been given this wisdom to maneuver in the midst, all right, behind enemy lines, man. You know? So that's what I wanted to go into real quick. You know, Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. Till the next time I say shalom.